Hey everybody, how you doing? Just want to be sure on the Webinar Jam on YouTube. I'm going to go live on Facebook in a minute, but can you guys hear me? And please say hello and let me know who is on live with me today. Yay, yeah, happy Valentine's everybody. Today is February 14th. It's a Tuesday. So sounds like you can hear me okay over there before I go live over here on Facebook. Want to make sure we're all good to go. I am excited to talk to you about this topic today. It's a little bit different. I thought I would do something different for now. So, Jim, can you just confirm with me you can hear me before I go on? I see there's quite a few of you that have jumped on, but I'm not seeing if you can hear me or not. So I'm wondering if something's going wrong. Yeah, there's several of you on. Okay, thank you. It's a little delayed. I'm glad you can hear me. So we'll get started. Let me go live on Facebook here. There we go. Oh, it says it's trying to connect. Okay, great. Hi, Pat. How are you? Hey, everybody on Facebook who are joining me live. This is Danielle Daniel. And again, licensed psychotherapist and doctor of clinical psychology student. My whole focus is holistic emotional wellness. And I like to do different topics each week. Sometimes I'll talk about different products, sometimes different topics that are all related to emotional wellness. Sometimes it's about the gut because gut health is completely related to emotional wellness as well. So for those of you who are joining me live, as you jump on, or even if you're watching the recording, please say hello and where you're joining me from. I love to see how far-reaching these product talks get, and I have people in New Zealand and England that are joining, and it's kind of fun. So I'm here in sunny San Diego, California, and I have been doing these product talks for about 6 months now, maybe 8 months. I'm not even sure. I can't even remember. Hello, let's see, Susan, hello, Pat, hi, Jim. So just want to say hi to lots of you that are joining. Ran, hello, glad to see you guys are on. Sonia, hello from Oklahoma. Let's see, you're just, oh, Kelly, just north of me in the OC. Yes, definitely. Orange County's close. Artie from LA, very close as well. Sunny Southern California. Love it down here, huh? So Autumn from Arizona. Ran from Vancouver. Lots of you guys joining on Facebook too. Well, happy Valentine's Day. And if you're watching this after Valentine's Day, great. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. I know it's just a day we express a lot of stuff about love and emotion. So, I mean, we could do that any day of the year, but it's kind of fun to give it a little special day to be remembered and have some special chocolates maybe, right? So hello, Michelle from Louisiana, Fort Myers, Florida, Yesenia. Awesome. Lots of you guys joining us. So as you're joining, please remember as you joining even the recording to introduce yourself, where you're joining from. And I'm going to get started with our topic. I'm going to go in kind of like into a sciencey topic and then go into some essential oils at the end. But I do want to remind you, essential oils are not meant to cure, heal, or any medical diagnoses. They're really there to support the healthy functioning of the body. So I'm going to talk today about positive bonding, love versus lust, and how essential oils can really help within that process of just what's it called, like just endogenous neurochemical firing in the brain. Endogenous means internal neurochemicals that get fired in the brain. So we get bombarded. Hello from Canada. Hi, Janice and Sandy, I think it says. Yeah. So we get bombarded in society all the time with media images and shows and movies that obviously do not portray a correct form of love. It's called lust. And this can be actually very damaging. I'm going to talk about the neurochemicals. So this is in media, movies, even pornography, obviously, which is the most deadly form of it all, of lust. So what we're going to go into is what fires in a healthy, bonding, normal relationship and that creates love versus lust. And how when these images and these media and these things like that, how they interrupt relationships and life. And then thirdly, how different essential oils can contribute and help with restoring just balance in the brain. So one thing is, for those of you who want to learn even more with me, I do what's called a therapistpreneur training path. And you can sign up for the training. It's on my website at danielledr.com. and it's on the therapistpreneur path. And on that path, you can learn everything from the basics to the brain. It's for anybody, health entrepreneurs or, therapists, but it's really for anybody. And I go into depth with a lot of these subjects. And what I'm going through right now is I have a tear pad out called Essential Oils in the Brain. This is the adult version. And in there, there's a section called Healthy Habits. So the essential oils that I've researched and through my doctorate, I have put in here. This is not just like, oh, this essential oil promotes the heart to love and forgive others. It's not just like something I'm not trying to disrespect any other type of way of looking at things, but I have not just pulled it from thin air because I feel like it might do that to somebody. I've really researched these things out, and there's not, just so you know, there's not a ton of research done on essential oils. There's little tidbits here and there, and I've been able to plug that into what that translates into for the brain. So for healthy habits, I've taken research that's been done on modulating levels of dopamine, which means just maintaining healthy levels of dopamine. So dopamine is that neurotransmitter that fires in the pleasure centers of the brain called the nucleus accumbens. And what it does is it fires when there's a pleasurable experience. The sun comes out, you smell a flower, or, in this case, patchouli or clary sage. So different things like that just fire this, help the brain in, the nucleus accumbens and doing the normal levels, okay? So when you don't have normal levels, the essential oils can help with restoring, but again, it's different than a medical diagnosis. So I just want to make that claim up in the beginning. So this is my section on healthy habits. It's inside of here. You can get these tear pads right now in Aroma Tools, and just search on essential oils in the brain, and you'll find my tear pads in there. So I've got children and adults. So, and we're working on one right now for Canada. So yay, you Canadians, it's going to be released in the next month or so. So I've been working on that for a couple months with the Canadian market for an essential oils in the brain tear pad. I'm super excited. Okay, so back on to the subject. So when we talk in medicine about pathology, I know I'm going into a lot of stuff. Yay, I know, Ran, you're excited, you're in Canada. When we talk about pathology in medicine, pathology is basically, it describes the process where the body or the mind has departed from the healthy or normal state. I'm just going to go a little bit into, science here for a minute. When the pathology of love or lust or something like that, right? But when the pathology of love is lost from its healthy state, it's lust, and even then it can become an addictive process because that person learns these behaviors and continues to repeat them, and then therefore it becomes addiction. It can be very damaging in relationships. It damages trust, and it also causes like a disregard for honesty, and it turns someone into a selfish mindset. And the reason being is because you think about, like I was talking about, the dopamines being depleted from unhealthy levels of lust versus love, then what it is like the body's like, you need to give us more dopamine. And so you're always on this selfish mindset of, I need to fulfill, I. And so that's really the difference between lust and love. So, and I just thought this was a great topic for Valentine's Day, not to like put a damper on anybody's Valentine's Day, but I just thought talking about healthy levels of love will be really helpful for, giving some awareness and insight of your relationships. So unbonded sexuality is causing actually a major epidemic of depression. This is from a UCLA study that they did. And what they're finding is when the unbonded sexuality, when it's not bonded to a person, and maybe it's bonded to either pornography or media or images or the idea of something instead of rather in a relationship where, you are in a communication and forgiveness and just, working on something with someone, then the unbonded sexuality can result in depression. Now, for an easy example of this, how many of you guys remember your first crush? Yeah, so your first crush, I remember, why do they even call it a crush? Because it crushes you, right? So this is not to say, this is teenager, and what's going on is for teenagers. Your hormones are running rampant, and you've got these neurochemicals running rampant. You see, I remember my first crush. His name was Tommy. I was 14, And he was a high school kid, so I was a middle school kid. And of course, he wasn't having anything really to do with me. He was my friend's older brother. And so I just would get like nervous and giddy, and I get so excited when I'd see him. It was just like this over surge, right, of hormones and chemicals. And then he would just say, hey guys, okay, see ya, and leave in his red Toyota truck. And I'd be like, oh, you know, and then what would happen afterwards, because it was so unfulfilling, what happens? You feel crushed, you get down, you feel depressed. And it's not the same. And that's a pretty normal development stage. But that is the difference between when you have like this, you know, a crush versus a relationship where it's satiating. So I also like to refer to it as the Twinkie diet. I've talked about Twinkie diet and many different things. So when you eat Twinkies, what happens? You get a rush of sugar. There's nothing fulfilling about a Twinkie, right? So then it's so unsatiating because there's no real nutrients to it, that all you do is if all you have is Twinkies, you want more and more Twinkies, but they never satiate. And that's the same thing with lust versus love. Lust has no nutrients. There's no real, it's unbonded sexuality, and there's no real satiation. So they continue to want, with that learned behavior, to try to fulfill that dopamine need in the brain. There's other chemicals too we'll go into. But with a bonded and with real love, or with a salad with real nutrients, you're satiated, you feel good, you feel energized, you feel complete, you feel whole. And that's really the ideal that we are all working towards. So it's not to say, oh, my love's not perfect. It's not about that. It's just that we're all working towards this, and this is a good way to be aware of what's going on and how to use different essential oils that I have here that I'm excited to show you. So let me just go a little bit more into the neurochemical pathways. We know we've got the pheromones. When you get excited and meet someone, there's, you know, visual pheromones, and that's a total normal, you know, process. Then you have the dopamine that gets released in the pleasure centers of the brain. And so that's a pretty normal process too. They all get released at normal levels. And then in a bonded, you know, sexual relationship, you have oxytocin, which is a bonding neurochemical. It creates this feeling of trust, like I said, and bonding. And then that's in females and males, the oxytocin. And then vasopressin is a hormone chemical that gets released just in men, again creating that bonding. So it's all relationship bonding with a human being, with a partner. And so when it's versed around love, these all get satiated, right, in normal healthy amounts. When it's versed in lust or pornography, something more has an unhealthy pattern where you're like continuing to want to fulfill something, and there's an unfulfilled need. What happens is these same hormones that I just talked about all get released, but in huge doses, in such high doses that your brain doesn't know, you know, it's exciting, yay, but then you're depleted and you feel down and depressed, and there's actually no bonding that occurs. So that's really the difference between lust and love neurochemically of what's going on. And so let me just read my little note here. When the chemicals that are released in association with lust in excess, like I said, there's a surge which actually causes damage to the brain. And they've showed in long-term, like pornography addiction, it causes shrinkage to the frontal lobe. Those endogenous neurochemicals are so strong, actually cause shrinkage. So there is, you can restore the brain back to homeostasis, and there's a few things we can do to work on that. But again, it doesn't always have to be in this like huge amount, or it doesn't have to always be like that's an addictive amount. It's just nice to be aware of what does happen with media, TV shows, movies, and pornography and things like that that you see that excite those neurochemicals. It creates those emotions of lust rather than love, and they can be obviously very dangerous. So here's some steps that I wrote down to healthy levels of love. To restore back to healthy levels of love. One is just having an awareness, like share this, you know, with other people. Maybe share it on your feed. Just thought, hey, thought this was interesting, and being aware of what are these ideals and this lust that you're creating versus love in our lives, or diving into, or putting, you know, our brains into. Number two would be abstaining from it. And that's just putting regulations. Like I don't watch any R-rated movies. That's just something I've put on myself. And I also am very picky with my PG-13s, because even those these days aren't like the most positive influence. Our brains, I know it may sound prude, you guys, but our brains are so precious. Like, why bombard them with things that are going to be so damaging? And I especially with little kids, like, you don't want to expose little kids to anything that, you know, would be damaging in the media. So just being careful and aware of what that does neurochemically and why it's better to just not even expose yourself to those things, because your brain encodes it all and it releases the neurotransmitters and the things, and it is at unhealthy levels, which interrupts your entire life. So that be abstaining from those types of things, those types of activities that create lust versus love. Number 3, obviously, for, you know, counseling or couples counseling, things like that, to restore bonding and appreciation and love and trust. And that I highly recommend some type of therapy that really helps with an outside person to look at that. Number 4, healthy activities. That would be exercise or doing healthy activities together that are creative. When you're in your creative mindset, it is so healthy for your brain. Actually causes the release of neurotransmitters that help your brain to just restore itself in general. Like when little kids, when they're growing, what's going on with little kids in their mind? They're creative, they're imaginative. Those imaginative neurons have atrophied by the time we're adults. And so doing something creative to continue to restore and tap into those imaginative neurons is huge for healing. So, oh, thanks. I just saw that. Thanks, Juliana. She said, well said. Okay, so then number 5, I'm going to talk about wellness products that promote healthy habits. So again, this is wellness products that I'm going to talk about. Of course, you guys know I love essential oils that really help with restoring and just helping the brain maintain healthy levels of, like we talked about, dopamine and the release of neurochemicals that promote love and bonding versus lust. So, ready? Get your pens out. First, our citrus oil. So I have here a ton. I just grabbed every citrus oil I had, which are tangerine, bergamot. Let's see what else I got here. Lime, grapefruit, lemon, and even, of course, citrus bliss. So here's a whole bunch. And citrus oils, because of the limonene content, that is what's going to help you. Let's talk about what the limonene content does. Limonene content protects the brain against the effects of stress. What's more stressful than unhealthy relationships, right? Pretty much nothing. So knowing that you can use an essential oil like a citrus in a diffuser or in, like I do it in my water, in a glass water bottle daily, can really help with reducing the effects that stress causes. The second thing we know about citruses, what do they do for emotional wellness? What's one of the main things citruses are known for emotional wellness? Uplifting mood, right? So mood is another thing we've already talked about. When unhealthy bonding is occurring, it can lower your mood, and so it's nice to use a citrus oil that can help uplift your mood. But the third thing, I'm not just like bringing these up for fun. Yep, Rana said uplifting. There is one study that I read that suggested that it may have helped reverse the effects of elevated dopamine in the nucleus accumbens. So what did I talk about before? That when you're in unhealthy lust versus love relationships, you have an elevated level of dopamine that gets released in the nucleus accumbens. And one study found that it helped to modulate in the brain means regulate, maintain healthy levels of it. So I thought that was really cool. So again, don't underestimate how amazing plants can be and what they can really do for your body just by using citrus oil. The next essential oil is actually a compound, carvacrol. Who knows what essential oils? There's 2 of them, major essential oils that have high levels of carvacrol in them. Carvacrol is a monoterpene phenol. Anybody know? I don't know if I would have known if I didn't study it. So thyme and oregano have high levels of carvacrol, and carvacrol is they have found a major component of thyme and oregano, and they found that it supported the modulation of dopamine as well in the brain. So these two you could take inside of a capsule, do 1 drop of each, and do maybe 2 to 3 times a day for 10 days. And then take a break for 10 days and go back on for 10 days. Maybe do that for a couple rounds if you're really trying to restore some health back in your thinking and in your emotions. So those 2 would be a great one. And then the last 2 are clary sage and patchouli, which also show that they interact with modulating and helping, maintain healthy levels of dopamine in the brain. So these would be another 2 that you could diffuse, or I like to put these on the bottom of my foot on the big toe and just stimulate it on the big toe. So lastly, what I'll give you is a little healthy habit blend that you can do. Now, thyme and oregano will be great ones. I just don't think I want to put that on my skin because they're spicy and then I don't want to smell like oregano all day long. So I would take those internally. But for a healthy habit blend, I have you do equal parts of patchouli and clary sage and a citrus oil. I put on here grapefruit, but you could also do wild orange. Just kind of, I think grapefruit smells really great with these. So my healthy habits blend is equal parts of these 3 oils, grapefruit, clary sage, and patchouli, and fractionated coconut oil. You can go ahead and put that in a roller bottle and roll it on your pulse points on your neck or on the big toe, temples, anywhere to try to get it to the brain, the occipital point. So that would be my favorite, little healthy habit blend that you could just apply throughout the day as you're working on maintaining healthy levels in the brain and just promoting feelings of love and bonding. So anyway, I'd love to open it up for questions. That's my 20-minute spiel on product talk. It was kind of a heavy subject. It's actually a subject I've really enjoyed studying. I think it's an important thing. And I think that we get distracted, I know I do, with media and things like that of what love and bonding really is. And so I like studying this piece. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's with this little message. And oh, great. I'm glad you just shared the video, Ran. I hope it can help some other people too. So just know that essential oils, like I said, just such an easy way to just get something healthy in your body and maintain those healthy balance of just love and, like I said, awareness and stress and uplifting mood. It's just such an easy thing you can do as a therapist or just in your homes as well. So anyway, it looks like I don't see any questions coming in, but thanks everybody for joining, and happy Valentine's and have a good rest of your day. Okay, bye.